Today we're back with another Spider-Man drawing, and we're drawing Spidey in 8 different styles. And we're going to start off first with the comic book style. And it's just a perfect fit. I mean, whenever I think of comic books and Spider-Man, they are kind of going together hand in hand. And the number one comic book person that I ever think about with Spider-Man is Todd McFarlane. I remember reading him when I was a kid, and the amazing artistic detail. I mean, it still holds up today. Look at this level of detail within Spidey. We're talking dynamic poses, movement, color, all the vibrancy, it's just all there. So in homage to one of my favorite artists, I want to make sure that the colors are nice and flat, well represented, but we also have that iconic coloring and also inking. So we're going to add the lines and all the smooth details of shadows, and we're going to call this section complete as we move on to the torn effect. Kind of looks like the image is being scratched away. I haven't done this one in a really long time, and yeah, I really just enjoy making new styles that you probably haven't seen across the art social media. So when you color it all in, you can see it just looks nice and scratched away. Now here's the best part, you can color this in as realistically or as cartoony as you like. This style is really up to you. There's just one problem.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Yeah, I kind of screwed up, so I have to change it on the fly ever so slightly, but we're still going to have those nice tear marks. It's just going to wind up using the recess of the image, but it still works out in the end. And at the end, when you line your hand up, everything looks like it's just been scratched away. Next up is another one I haven't done in a while, and that's the Tim Burton effect. And for those of you who don't know what Tim Burton or Burton-esque is, it's an artistic style that is representative of the work of Tim Burton. Whenever I think of Tim Burton, I think of those really big heads with the beady eyes, those gigantic wide eyes, so we're going to have to showcase that in the drawing. But there's also coloring that is very well represented. He uses muted gray tones, so we're not going to have those nice, super bright, vibrant reds. Instead, we're going to use the reddish grays, a lot of pale, muted, ghoulish-looking colors. And it has that horror, creepy aesthetic vibe, but in a fun, cartoony kind of way. It's an incredibly unique blend. From the Tim Burton to the pixel effect, and I don't use rulers. You'll notice that a lot of times I don't like to use it because I like to do what's called train your eye. When we draw stuff, if we rely on rulers too often, then our mind does not actually see the shapes and draw the shapes as well as we could. So by freehanding a lot, you'll learn to see shapes better. You'll be able to draw shapes better. It's okay to use a ruler every now and again, but don't rely on it solely as a crutch. Now, of course, if you're a beginner artist or a young artist and your kind of hand isn't as steady as it is with some of an older artist or a more achieved artist, then I totally understand to use a ruler. But as time progresses and as your skills progress, you should be trying to going away from certain mechanical tools. And of course, I just love this effect because it just brings me back to those early 90s, late 80s nostalgia video games that I played as a kid. Yeah, I am that old. I am a gamer unk. What can I say? Just adding a nice little border around the entire thing, and we are going to call this section complete as we head on over to the X-ray effect. And once again, one thing that I love about this style is you can color it in as realistically or as cartoony as you want. We're going to do a semi-realistic drawing here. We don't want it to be too realistic, but we don't want it to be too cartoony because all of the styles so far have kind of had a unique flair to them, so I wanted to make sure that this little area got its time to shine, and I don't want it to kind of feel like it's just a simple, quick cartoon style. In fact, I'm really happy with overall how this color looked. It's a almost like how I do my own style. A little bit of impressionism, a little bit of comic book. It's like if comic book had a little bit more oomph to it, a little less illustrative with a little bit more of an artistic flair. Just popping in those X-ray highlights as this section is going to be complete, and we are going to head on over to the water effect. And essentially what we want to do is turn Spidey into a ripple tide of water. So we're going to start off with lots of sea foam greens, mainly because when we add the blue we don't want to overpower it. So we're just going to gently rock in all of these green tones with a base layer, and then we're going to add all those subtle ripple effects throughout the water as if it's just rushing water flowing down a stream or a crashing wave. There's all these beautiful subtleties of color, and that's why I kind of like this effect. This is a really fun but artistic effect. It's harder to do cartoony because it'll look too disjointed if it was just a cartoon. So to do this effect, what you want to do is use your alcohol markers and blend softly in layers, going from the lightest to the darkest, but we're going to use our darks sparingly, only in the darkest areas. Only now are we going to pop the blue in, but we're going to use it just to tint the overall color. That'll give it that nice ripple colored effect. But now when we add that really nice dark blue, that's how it gets that soft, watery feel. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, let me know who is your favorite Spider-Man villain. Mine is probably Carnage. Now, we have the stone effect. And the stone effect is basically making Spidey look like a stone. How we're going to do this is by using an array of different gradient color pencils and graphite pencils. So we're going to use the side of the graphite here, which is a 6B, and we're going to press all that charcoal into the paper and then use our blending stump to blend everything away. Here is like the opposite of detail. We want only the darkest darks to show through, and the lightest lights will be like an edge that you barely see. The lines that you see here on Spider-Man's suits are going to be what's carved or would have been carved into the stone. They're going to be the darkest darks, and they're going to be where we're going to showcase some of the cracks. Because this is stone, it's going to have natural cracks, but it's also going to have what's called pithing, and that's when basically little spots erode over time and you get little indents, if you will, into the stone. Now that stony Spider-Man is complete, we're going to do the glitch effect.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Okay, fine, we'll do realistic.
Nice.
Now, if you haven't seen my recent live, I was planning on doing a Spider-Man realistic, and that is already done. That drawing will come out a little bit later, probably in a day or two, and I did a realistic that I think you'll absolutely love. Now, this is a little bit more of a dynamic version of that realism, and we kind of do things differently. So in this one that you're seeing now, I'm doing a lot of alcohol marker work down on the page. This is basically like an underpainting before all of the details go down and you kind of get things muddied up. I added just a little bit of highlights with a little bit of yellow. That little bit of yellow, once you put the white down, just really tones down that white and kind of gives it a soft yellow hue, which I think just works really well against the Spider-Man's reddish suit. And I'm avoiding black for these lines. I'm using a very dark, warm gray, and the reason is when we add the whites and all the other highlights into that part of Spider-Man's suit, I don't want it to be just a pure gray, gunmetal gray look. I want it to have some tone, some vibrancy. Now we are just past the 9-minute mark, and if you could please do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe button. It helps me out a lot, but it also lets YouTube know that you really like the content. I don't try to gatekeep a lot of information. I always try to be pretty upfront with a lot of the information that I give out. I don't have any kind of content paywalls where you have to pay amount of money just to learn more stuff. I give it to you guys freely because I really want every artist out there to try to just get better. I don't want them to get discouraged because they don't know how to get better. So if you like this content, then please hit that like button and subscribe button once again. And just like that, we have another piece complete. What was your favorite side? I like all the way the juxtapositions of all the pieces looked. I think it was kind of funky and fun. So thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you all in the next video.